In this video, I'm going to be covering the top 2 mistakes I've made with marketing that have literally cost me tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. If you don't know who I am, my name's Alex Jaramillo. I own House of Shaves Barbershop. We've done millions of dollars in revenue, and I make these videos because this is the kind of stuff that I wish I had when I was first getting started. It would have saved me a ton of money, and I want to show you how to think about marketing when you're trying to build your barber business. There's 2 mistakes that I made that have cost me a ton of money, and I'm gonna cover these in this video, and so hopefully it'll save you a ton of money, time, and headache. So the first thing, which is arguably the way more important one, number 1 mistake I've made so far is not knowing who the target audience is that we're marketing for. So if you are marketing for a barbershop, for example, at least for ours, our clients are mainly going to be men. But that's okay, so that cuts out half of the population. So first of all, if you're marketing, make sure when you're setting up your ads or when you're creating your content for social media that it's going to be, if it's not for men specifically, then just make sure that it is, this is just an example that I'm using. It doesn't have to be men, but make sure that what the message that you're putting out there is going to resonate with your target audience. So what, in our case, we're targeting mainly men, but not just men, because that's a big spectrum. So are we talking about boys 2 years old, or are we talking about 90-year-old men? So then narrowing it down further. So if you're not trying to attract little boys or elderly men, then you cut that out of your marketing. So we realized that kind of the sweet spot for us, for our target market, was men between the ages of 25 and 55. We get all kinds. We get women in the shop too. But in terms of how we set up our ads, the content we put out there on social media, it's gonna appeal and resonate more with that type of client. We will take anybody that comes in the door, but when we're trying to put a message out there, we will target it towards that very specific group. Because here's the problem that I think a lot of business owners make, myself included, is thinking that everybody is your target audience. And that's not the case, right? Because, for example, if you're running paid ads, and let's say you're spending, I don't know, $100 a day, but you don't have this dialed in. So that means, let's say that this is the audience that is seeing your ads on whatever platform you use. And this right here is your ideal client. And these 2 aren't. But the problem is, if you don't have this in mind when you create your ads or your social media content, then these people are going to be seeing your ad and clicking on it and wasting your budget, essentially, because they're never gonna come in to your shop, and if they do, they're probably not gonna come back because it's not catered to them, and they might waste your budget to the point where this person doesn't even see your ad. So this is why it's so important to figure out who your ideal client is, and not just in the case of marketing, but just in any decision that you make in your business has to revolve around, what does my ideal client want? It makes decision making a lot easier if you keep this in mind when you're trying to figure out, should I create services? What are the hours for the shop? The pricing? Think about your ideal client and what they would want, rather than trying to appeal to everybody. So for example, when it came to a pricing decision for us, there was 2 things that I kept in mind when we were trying to figure out, are we going to charge less for kids' haircuts? Well, first of all, I don't know who started this trend. If you've been a barber for any length of time, you probably know that in a lot of cases, boys' haircuts take just as long, sometimes longer, than an adult haircut. So why are we charging less when it takes the same amount of time? In our business, we charge off time, and if a haircut takes 30 minutes, then I'm gonna charge for the 30 minutes regardless of who I'm working on, right? So when you're keeping your ideal clients in mind, it really makes everything a lot easier. So we decided, well, we're going to charge for the time, and we also want more of our ideal clients. We don't want screaming kids in the shop, and we do still have kids, but the idea is we have a lot less of them now because we catered and kept our ideal client in mind, and we don't charge a different price for kids. So as a result of that, we see less kids. We still have kids and we still love them, but we don't charge differently for them because we are building our business around this person, this type, this avatar. This person is who we want to serve, and the people that are like them, and less people like this. Another way you can think about this, and again, we're going to talk about paid ads right now. The type of marketing you do can also be determined by who your ideal client that you're trying to reach is. So if you are on a lower, more economical type of barbershop, where it's more volume based and the prices are lower, then you can keep that in mind when you're thinking about where should I market. Because if you're trying to find this person, and if they're on like a blue collar, lower income part of the scale, they may not be looking at what's a fancy magazine like Forbes or something like that. They're probably going to be looking at other stuff. They're probably going to they may be on social media. They might be looking at the Groupons and the local magazines with all the coupons in them. So for us, for example, we are not looking for the cheaper clients. We're looking for people that have a little bit more money, a little bit more disposable income. So I learned this lesson the hard way because we started, when we first opened, we did a lot on Groupon. We did local coupon magazines. And guess what? It did work. Some people came in, but these weren't our ideal clients. These people were just looking for a deal. So they came in once and we never saw them again. So that budget that we spent on this, which cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get that going, was essentially just a waste because it didn't bring in any of the ideal clients. But when we started shifting our strategy to social media and advertising on Facebook, for example, Facebook also allows you to really dial it in. So you can tell Facebook, I only want you to show this ad that live in, say, 7 Mile. So you can do this kind of stuff with social media, and it's a little bit more limited with these types of tactics. But regardless of what your ideal client is, just knowing who they are makes it a lot easier to advertise and to find them. And another thing, even if you do, this is a lesson I learned recently, but let's say you do a Facebook ad. If you offer discounts, it's going to sometimes it's going to attract the wrong people. And again, they will waste your budget, and your ideal client who doesn't care about a discount won't get to see it. So you want to make sure so we actually noticed a big difference in our overall client retention when we stopped advertising discounts, period, on our Facebook ads. So we noticed, because at one point we were doing 50% off, 10% off. We even tried a $1 haircut ad, and it worked. Like, it brought in a lot of people, but it was the wrong people because they only came in because of that discount. And then they came in, they got a great haircut, and they left. And guess what? None of them came back. Took away the eyeballs and the opportunities for our ideal client who we actually wanted to come in to actually give us a shot. So we actually noticed, although the total volume of clients went down when we took away the discounts, the quality of clients that came in was much higher. And because they were more closely aligned with the type of clients that we wanted and that we designed our business around, they ended up staying. So it's okay that if your ads aren't bringing in a lot of people, but if they're bringing in your ideal clients, then that's, I think, okay. Figure out the magic formula to bring in your ideal clients, then you can turn the budget up. But don't blow a lot of money until you have all this dialed in first. Figure out your ideal clients, figure out the message that's gonna bring them in, exclude the people that aren't your target market, and then once you find a winner, then you scale it, you turn it up. Now I'm gonna talk to you about the second biggest marketing mistake that I've made. So the second biggest marketing mistake that I've made is not tracking. I'll say that, not tracking. So the problem, in addition to not knowing this, I really didn't appreciate how important tracking was when it comes to paid ads. Because I can tell you, if you're spending $100 a day or more, it gets really expensive really, really fast. And what a lot of people do, which is what I did, is you're just looking at how many people clicked on the ad, how many phone calls you got. But in my opinion, unless you're using like a different phone number for every ad, or you have special landing pages and pixels and everything set up, it's going to be really difficult to, what this is called attribution. So if you're not able to attribute that client coming in to that ad, then how do you know if it's working? The short answer is you don't. Because what we're looking for, here's another fancy marketing term, is called ROAS. What we want to do, and it stands for return on ad spend. So I want to know for every dollar that I'm putting in to Facebook, how much is it coming back? And ideally, we want the difference to be as large as possible. So for every dollar, let's say we're breaking even, that would mean I'm at least getting $1 back. So I put $1 into Facebook, that brings in a new client, and the new client spends $1 for every dollar that I spent. So what does that look like? That means, let's say our ad is costing us, you're gonna learn a lot of marketing terms today, but this is called your customer acquisition cost, or CAC, right? So for every, let's say I spent $100 on an ad, and that brought in 2 clients. So that means that each client cost me $50. That's where that came from. So I want to know that minimum for every $50 I'm spending to get this client, how much is that bringing in? So if you're spending $50 to get a client and it's only bringing in like $25, that's not good. We got to fix that. And that could be that you're targeting the wrong people. Maybe the ad isn't, optimized right. Maybe the messaging needs to be tweaked. The picture or the video could just be swapped out. You're targeting the wrong area. There's a lot of variables when it comes to ads, but this is how you know if it's working. So how are you tracking your return on ad spend? Can you attribute it to the ad? And this is very, very, very difficult, because sometimes people, this happens to us all the time, will see our ad on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and instead of clicking on the ad, they just call us and walk in. That's very difficult to track back to the ad. So I wouldn't put, like, using a very highly specialized software, I wouldn't put too much weight into what Facebook tells you. Like, you may want to have another way you can do this is to have promo codes. So each ad that you create has a different promo code, and you make it as a condition of the ad, if you do offer a discount, say that you have to use this promo code or show this code when you're checking out. And then you can link it back to which ad that they saw. And then you can figure out what your winners. Let's say you have 3 ads that you're testing and you want to know which one's the best. Well, which one has the highest return on ad spend? You have the way of tracking that. So we got fancy recently, and we figured out that we can link our booking system to Facebook. So now when somebody books on our site, that fires a pixel and that tells Facebook that this person came to the site from the ad. And we're able to track now the booking revenue from our site that came from Facebook, which is so far the most effective way that I found of tracking how much the ads are bringing in terms of revenue, new clients, etc. But these are by far the biggest 2 mistakes I've made, because if you just dump a bunch of money into marketing and you're not actually tracking whether it's working or not, then you can blow thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So just by watching this full video and by applying this and trying to figure out a way to know your target market and being able to attribute, if you're doing paid ads, find a way to link those 2 together. A new client came in because they saw the ad, and that meant they spent this much money, and did you get a return on your investment? If not, tweak the ad. It doesn't mean that they don't work. Just means that there may be something about the ad that you can make better. You want your return on ad spend to be as high as possible, and you want your cost to be as low as possible. And I mean, ideally, you want this to be like 3-to-1 minimum. So for every client that you spend $50 to acquire, ideally you want them to spend $150. That's hard to do in a low ticket business like ours, like a barbershop, but that may be possible in like a salon or a med spa, or where you have higher ticket average services going on. That may be possible. Here we tend to take a loss the first visit, but we make it up in the long run if we retain them and you're getting the right clients. The two most important things that I would recommend you start doing if you're not doing them already: figure out who your ideal clients are. You can survey your clients, you're the ones that you like to work with, the ones that spend the most money, and see what they have in common, and then start to develop like a ideal client profile. And then you use that, if you start doing paid ads, to target more people like them. And then once you start running paid ads, figure out a way to track the effectiveness on the ad, because just because some people come in doesn't mean the ad is effective. It could be, we've had ads where it was costing us $200 to get a client, and then they're coming in and spending $40. That doesn't make sense at all. So I learned that the hard way, so I don't want you guys to make that same mistake. So know who your target market is and figure out a way to track whether your ads are working. If you guys want more help, I'll put a link to my community in the description of this video below. There's other barbers and hairstylists in there that are looking to grow and make more money. Hope to see you there.